What's good, Liberators? Fingus here, and this is Dx2 Demon Review, and today we are talking about the red-headed stepchild of the Tenma lineup. 3 heads, 6 arms, no love. The Tenma, Asura, a ferocious type of demon in Hindu lore. Even the gods are troubled by these wrathful beings with immense strength and magical powers. They are very strict in their ways and will relentlessly attack any wrongdoers to enforce their justice. They were worshipped in Persia as the god of light and the chief god in Zoroastrianism. Ahura Mazda is said to be one of them. So let's check out what this Wrath God's all's about. Decent strength, 212, pump that up to 232 if you're so inclined. Also some pretty decent vitality, 190, and you can argue for 20 mitamas up in that, get that up, capped out at 210, which is very, very impressive as far as vitality goes. Agility 163, but you can crank that up to 183, making him a fairly respectable, speedy kind of guy. Not so much in today's modern meta, but 183 is perfectly functional, although he is not what I think of when I think of a speedster demon. I may need to rework this, put that 20 into vitality just for theme's sake. He resists physical, which is useless. Repels fire, that's a thing. Weak to ice, be aware. Nulls light and dark, which is equally as useless as resists. So let's check out the skills, because he's very unique in what he is and what he does. It's just, on paper, it sounds cool. In practice, it just falls completely flat. The transferable mana aid recovers 10 MP when clearing a wave. So, he's good in PvE, but then again, what 5-star demon isn't? This would make him pretty good as a support demon. I never even thought of that. Yoshitsune is probably the best support demon you can stick out there, and he's got mana aid too, which means wave after wave you can shred. You can only use support demons in PvE fights with multiple waves, so hey, that is a thing that is there, though in the grand scheme of things this is pretty useless. It just, because the PvE content isn't the backbreaker. You're not going to really struggle with the PvE content. Once you reach a certain level, you're going to be able to handle that just fine, no matter what you're rocking out with. So it's there. For his first unique skill, 3 faces, 6 arms, reduces damage received by 30% from skills that target random allies. When the enemy uses attacks that target random enemies, this demon becomes the main target, aka the sole only target, so any multi-hit skill that hits all demons will go directly to Asura. And he will reduce the damage he receives by 30%, which is interesting, but it's useless. If you're in PvP, right? You're facing off against 4 other demons, and you open up with a multi-hit attack that targets all 4 demons randomly. That's a weak attack spread out amongst all those demons. The only time random attacks are powerful and noteworthy is when they're against a single target, and this ensures that he's the single target. Granted, he reduces the damage dealt by 30%, but he's taken all that. So he's basically a tank. And it's just, there aren't enough truly devastating multi-hit skills out there. Hasutobi is probably the most devastating of them all, and no one rocks Yoshitsune in PvP anymore. So it's really just cool, but useless. If you level this up, you reduce the damage he takes by an additional 20% at level 4, bringing it to 50% damage reduction, which again, cool, but so specifically situational as to be absolutely useless. For his other unique skill, Asura inflicts physical damage with a power of 50 with a 50% crit rate on all enemies. When an attack is successful, removes all stat buffs from all enemies and inflicts the following chain effect. I believe that removes all stat buffs was a recent buff. I could be mistaken on that, but I believe they buffed him in one of the recent updates. Chain effect inflicts physical damage, power of 25, with an 80% crit rate on random enemies 10 times. This skill will have a physical pierce effect, and this brings us to what I would consider his one and only proper function, although he is not the best in this line. I ran him in physical Demopocalypse for a brief while on my B team's boss wave, and he did a decent enough job. He is not the biggest heavy hitter out there, but when you got this attack on the boss wave, hits with a power of 50, 50% crit rate, not bad. That crit rate, pretty good. Power of 50, oof, terrible. But he follows that up with the power of 25 times 10 attack, which for you math gurus out there is a power of 250 total, in addition to the original attack, which is a power of 50. So in essence, this Asura, when directed towards a single target, hits with a power of 300, which ain't bad for physical Demopocalypse. So if you don't have some of the heavier hitters out there, Asura can get in there in physical Demopocalypse and do some respectable damage. I'd say B+. He's not in that A tier, not in that S tier. But he's a contender. He's a contender, and if you got him, you may as well use him if you don't have anything better. And that is his one saving grace. He is a Fizz Demopocalypse alternate B team guy. Take that for what it is. As for his archetype skill, great aim plus 20% to physical hit rate. We get a guy like him who's got a times 10 multi-hit attack. Hey, having that be accurate, great. Not nearly as necessary as some other multi-hit attacks because his multi-hit comes in a chain effect, and if you whiff with a physical attack on a chain effect, you do not lose press turns. If your initial attack misses, you do, but the chain effects do not. So still, ensuring that damage goes off is fantastic. As for the transferables for physical Demopocalypse, y'all know what you need to do. Fizz Boost, Fizz Amps. Let's see, Butcher would help him out. It's complicated because Asura is multi-hit all around, isn't it? It's not, yes, all enemies. So Butcher or Serial Killer would be great for this. No Master Assassin, that won't work. Assassin won't work. So things of that nature. If you were absolutely mad enough to run him in PvP, I mean, since he is a tank absorbing multi-hit attacks, presumably you're picking your targets, and there's a demon in that lineup that has some fearsome multi-hit attacks. So, your enduring souls. I can't for the life of me justify putting any of the 5-star skills on there. Your epitomes of so-and-so to make him even more bulky. Life Surge, perhaps. Something less valuable in the overall. Again, running him in PvP in this day and age will not get you very far. His skill is just far too situational for it to be of any use to anyone in 2021. So if you're going to use him, physical Demopocalypse is a place where he can do some good. Fizz Boost, Fizz Amp, those things, you know how to rock it. Brands. If you're running him in the Fizz Demopocalypse, y'all know what to do. War Brand, spike that physical attack percentage. Again, if you're mad enough to run him in PvP, now I picture him rolling on a slow team, right? so speed brands are out. You might want to consider war brands for him. Now, for that Asura hit, depending on what kind of multi-hit attacks you expect him to be absorbing, physical guard brands or shield brands, depending on if you're taking on physical or magical random hit damage, that kind of thing. He's a tank, build him appropriately. Life brands, always a potentially good combo. I imagine he could be quite a stall if all that was coming at you is, magic multi-hit attacks. So you give him life brands and shield brands, spike that magic defense to the extreme, and his natural skill negates that by upwards of 50%. You could slow some serious teams down. Assuming every single demon is attacking you with a magic multi-hit attack or a physical multi-hit attack, which is never the case and never has been in the history of this game since its inception. But hey, the theory craft is there. Watch me, theorists, and speculate accordingly. As for the panels, panel 1 plus 15% to physical hit rate. Pretty cool. Can't go wrong with physical hit rate, especially if you are mad enough to attempt him in PvP. Panel number 2, minus 30% to random attack damage received, piling on to what he can negate. If you leveled up 3 heads, 6 arms to 50%, now you've got 80% damage reduction, but only on skills that target multiple enemies. It's just, and only random attacks. If they've got a sweep attack, it hits everybody. It's got to be a skill like Hasutobi that randomly hits all enemies in the field 8 times. It will solely direct to him. That is how that works. But still, hey, 80% negation on that. I mean, I can't think of any Kiwamis off the top of my head, but there's probably a Kiwami or two out there where this would be exceptionally useful if your Kiwami boss is like Yoshitsune or something like that, and he's just Hasutobiing and going straight to Asura and just having that negated by 80%. I can see it. You're piling on the life brands and the guard brands in that situation, making him hit for next to nothing, and then you can just wail on him. Yeah. For a boss, for certain bosses, for key bosses, you could make him a thing if you really, really tried. And for panel 3, reduces the cost of Asura by 2 MP. Asura's costly 8 MP. You can't level it up. You can't get that MP cost down any other way. Putting it to 6 MP, which, okay, you're able to do that. If you ran him on a speedster team for some ungodly reason, you could get that 6 MP Divine brand, turn 1 Asura. Boom. That is a thing that could happen if you wanted it to. It would take an insane amount of work to get there. Indeed, 7 Asuras, a fully paneled boy, and I just can't imagine why you would, but you could. And before we wrap this up, let's check out what else old boy here has on offer, if we can find him. There he is. For his Origami archetype, Gigantomachia inflicts physical damage on all enemies with a power of 160. This is the strongest transferable physical sweep skill you can get, and it works quite well when it works, although you're going to want to have some brand tertiary crit boosting abilities just to ensure that when you hit everyone, at least one of them crits, so you can get that half press turn off. And does this guy come with an innate physical pierce? It does not look like it. Only Asura inflicts this skill will have physical pierce. He does not have the innate physical pierce, so Gigantomachia, sorry buddy, but you're out of luck on that one. Dang. The Protector archetype, Blood Rush, increases own party's attack and evasion accuracy by 20%. I can see this if you're running him as a pure shield. You forego all of his physical attack for defensive and HP capabilities. So he's just standing there, buffing, taking damage. Hey, can't go wrong with that. I can see it. I can see it. For the Psychic archetype, great aim, which we discussed. And capping it all off, our Elementalist archetype, Repel Physical, which repels physical, turning his useless resist into a somewhat useful Repel Physical if you got your Aravakas and your Demiurges up in the mix. So that is something you can consider when building your Demiurge or Aravaka team. And that about wraps it up for this guy he's got so many arms, guys, and no one will give him a hug. So the next time you see Asura, maybe you're doing the latest round of new PvE content in the next 8 months, because that seems to be the schedule they're on. Every 8 months we get a new chapter of this story unfolding. So maybe just take him out. Come on, guys. He tries so hard. So show him a little love and give Asura here a hug. But until then, don't get captured.